Before we get into the podcast, this video is sponsored by Prize Picks. If you like firing on sports like me, try out the app. Instead of choosing teams, you're choosing individual players. Each player has a set projection, and you choose either more or less, so if you know what players are going to perform on any given nights, this is a no-brainer and Prize Picks is the app for you. Download the Prize Picks app and use code NELK. It is a 100% deposit bonus. Plug that into the app right now, so download the Prize Picks app right now and use code NELK. Also, Elon Musk is my daddy. Thank you.
So we got Don Lemon here. And now we're going to say a lot of respect for coming on, because I think people like to frame us as a right-wing conservative podcast too. But I mean, we're down to have anybody from any side on and just have a conversation too.
I feel that way as well. Man,
but no, yeah, shout out to you and respect for you for coming on. But you don't even consider yourself
I don't care what your politics are, as long as you're nice guys. And cool, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Nice, right on.
So what's your day-to-day now? Now that you're kind of you're your own boss, your content and your format is a lot different than when you were with CNN. What's it like now?
It's a lot longer.
Yeah.
Because I'm the boss, so I have to do the business, I have to keep the lights on, and I have to do the editorial, and that's not as easy as people might think. Before, I just had to focus on the editorial. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to focus on advertisers. I didn't have to focus on a budget, and have to focus on making payroll, and have to focus on what other podcasts I'm going to go on like this. Everything was just sort of arranged for me. So my days are long. I went to a business dinner last night. I got home at close to midnight. I did a little research about your show. I woke up at 8 and started doing interviews. I had Bassem Youssef on this morning. I did a panel on the Trump trial and college protests. And then I did another show just talking about the week, and then I'm going to do another live show. These are all taped, and then I'll do another live show at 5 o'clock, which is just me talking to the audience. It's not really a show. You
like it more now, or do you like?
I do like it because I get to talk to people, and I actually get to hear directly from the audience. And before, where I was just sort of, pontificating, it was just a one-way conversation. And so, you read, Twitter comments, but, that's everybody has it.
So the arranged stuff, everything was just kind of arranged for you?
Yeah, but I would just, I would, they'd have an editorial call in the morning. We'd see what was happening in the news. And then we would decide on guests and what we were going to cover. Yeah. And I would say, I like this, this, and this. And then there was a host of producers that just went off and did it. And then they handed me a packet, and then I studied it.
I'm just curious, how much stuff do you think you ever had to report on or did report on that you didn't necessarily fully agree or side with, or was this is what I think is right, and you kind of just had to say because you were a part of a network that was sort of.
Well, I never had to say anything that I didn't believe in, but as a reporter, as a journalist, like I said, I just had Bassem on, and he started I would ask him questions, and I think sometimes the interviewee thinks that is my stance on things, that I believe that just because I'm asking a question. Yeah. So he's very pro-Palestinian. And so I was asking questions that someone who supported Jewish people or Israel would ask to counter him. And so he thinks that that's my belief, but it's not. I'm simply just playing devil's advocate to get him to respond to something that, I'm going to say, well, someone who is supporting the Jewish side of this may say this. Yeah. And then, you have to ask questions, and it's not really about your belief. It's just about getting answers from people and trying to inform the viewer or the listener or whomever. But I never had to say, I was never told to say anything when I worked for CNN.
So they don't have certain things that they want you to say.
Well, they said, don't say, that kind of thing. But no, they never said, you mean
like the COVID stuff, it was a popular thing for everyone to say, this is such a bad thing. And then now people seem to be backtracking on that now.
What do you mean?
The vax thing, and how the efficacy of it at the time, and how ivermectin wasn't something that people should be taking. And now Cuomo's out talking about how it's actually a good thing. And it was a good thing, but we were told it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? He was just on PBD's podcast talking about that.
Yeah, I don't.
And you and him were really kind of pro, anti, take the thing, do it. And
well, I was pro or anti. This whole argument about vaccines is a little weird to me. Mm-hmm. because I think people are Monday morning quarterbacking the idea of vaccines and
What do you mean by Monday morning?
Because remember, this was a virus that we hadn't seen before. It was it was a once in a lifetime pandemic, and people didn't know. And I think we have to give the people who are in charge, including the Trump administration, a little grace, because no one knew how to deal with this. And I think that our health officials and and politicians were doing what they thought was best to save the most amount of people, to keep people safe and to keep them healthy. Do they make mistakes along the way? Absolutely. But that's life. And so, I think I thought that people should be doing what would, instead of being selfish for themselves, they should be doing, or we should have been doing what was best for our fellow man. I have a relative who has a compromised immune system. So whether I believe in wearing a mask or not, around that person, I'm going to wear a mask. I'm not going to be selfish and say, masks are stupid. I'm not going to do it, because I am not selfish. And I love that person. I don't know if the person I'm standing next to in the grocery store, or if I'm in the post office, I don't know if they have a compromised immune system. I have someone who's on my staff who still wears a mask, and someone came in and said, why the f- is she wearing a mask? And I had to tell that person she has lupus. And so if she got anything, a cold or anything, it's going to affect her in a detrimental way. So I think that people who are questioning the use of masks, even in the moment, we're being a bit selfish. And even vaccines are not new. I mean, I grew up having to get all kinds of vaccines and all kinds of shots because I live in a country where we have to associate with a lot of people. And it's really about keeping the most amount of people safe and not just ourselves.
Yeah. But weren't there some of those vaccines that you're speaking to, or they've had longer durations of created, like they were created for a longer time? Meaning like the COVID vaccine came out and it was like, hey, it's here now, take it. And then they had to give like more and more shots to keep the efficacy of
I get a flu shot every year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But in regards
That's
to
not mandated, right?
No, it's not mandated, but a flu shot is not part of a pandemic. If we had a flu pandemic, then I'm sure they would mandate flu shots.
I guess the question comes back to like, listening to Como speak and listening to like a lot of what people are talking about now is saying that like they knew that there was other methods that people could have done, like ivermectin was one of them that helped.
I don't think they knew that ivermectin. Ivermectin was not was not meant for COVID. It has not been tested for COVID. And so people pushing back on ivermectin, I think it was the right thing to do, because there was no medical evidence that ivermectin could help save people from getting COVID or prevent them from getting COVID or had any effect on the COVID-19 vaccine. So what our health officials, what I believe in medicine, I believe in science, and I believe that my government is looking out for me and trying to do the best for me. And if my government is telling me a vaccine that was actually that Donald Trump helped to facilitate, and Donald Trump was not a candidate that I really respected. Yeah. Even with him, I thought that I believe that my government is looking out for me. And so if scientists, if doctors, if virologists are telling me that this vaccine is safe and that ivermectin has no effect on the COVID vaccine, then I'm going to believe
on the COVID
science.
Vaccine or the COVID virus? Because the vaccine.
I'm sorry, not on the vaccine. Yes,
right.
on COVID, and then I'm not going to. Yeah. I'm going to believe in the science and I'm going to believe in the doctors.
Which is fine, but shouldn't other people have the right to like not take the vaccine and not be like forced to put something in their body that they didn't want?
Yes, you're an American. You have the right to do that, but
it seemed at the time like media was really like shaming people of like if you didn't get a vaccine, like it's your fault.
No, I don't think. Well, I don't know if the media was shaming people. I think what people were saying was. I think people were being selfish about that. If you don't get the vaccine, then don't get the vaccine, but don't expect to be able to do and go places where people who got the vaccine
and like make a living, right?
Everybody's working from home. People weren't at work.
I mean, you couldn't go to school.
Did you get the vaccine?
No, I didn't get the vaccine.
I didn't get it.
No, I got the vaccine. But if someone in my office didn't want to get the vaccine, then I would tell them to work from home.
Did you get a Vax card too?
Yeah.
I paid $2,000 for a fake one. I got scammed.
Yeah. No, but seriously, I thought that's fine. If you don't want to get the vaccine, then that's fine. If I didn't get the vaccine as a kid growing up, I couldn't go to school.
But from your perspective, like all like this shit aside, couldn't you have seen that the whole sort of like legacy media was like, you need this? And to a lot of people was like, Okay, is this just about protecting and helping people, or is this about big pharma and big business and money?
I believe that's a conspiracy theory.
Really?
And I know there's big pharma, and I get all of that. But I think
They're all
that's a
so
conspiracy
related,
theory.
though. It's so.
But they were making
listen,
so much
I
money
get-
off it too, right?
Fine. But we were in the middle of something that nobody knew about, something that was new that was killing people. I remember when I worked for NBC and we did the SARS vaccine. I mean, the SARS pandemic. And no one knew. We were leaving equipment at people's homes because we were afraid of being infected. No one knew. And so I think people were trying to do what was best for their fellow man, the best for the American public. And that's my honest belief. And I don't
'Cause I
think the
think-
media was trying to push. I think the media was putting out what the government and what our officials were telling us what was good to do.
So
there was a point where we were wiping mail and leaving it so that the germs could go away. We were taking our clothes off, and when we got into the house and throwing it in the washing machine and jumping in the shower. Nobody knew. So like, cut it some slack. Like I don't think everybody's out to get everybody. Anyways.
I just think there was a lot of evidence too that like it wasn't really affecting young people. And those like, if you did your own research, like for me, when I looked into it, I was like, I don't know if I'm at risk as much. Like, I don't think I need to get the vaccine. And that's why I chose not to get it.
I didn't want to get a shot when I was a child because I was afraid of needles. But my parents told me I needed to get a shot in order to go to school.
But those ones could be like good for you too.
Yeah, but I think the vaccine was good for
was
you
just
too.
like,
I
I
think
don't
the
think
vaccine
so.
was good for people.
Well, they
anyhow.
just
I don't
recently
think so.
AstraZeneca, I think when they just came in, it was like, yo, we're taking this off the market because there's so many problems related to this.
There's problems related to the drink that you have. I'm sure that some people may be allergic to that, but
Right.
that doesn't
But in
mean-
a time where like you couldn't work or you couldn't go to school or you couldn't, I own a gym and I couldn't have my gym open.
Yeah.
And a gym in that certain situation where it has there's so many other benefits and health benefits that are actually like combating the things that also the vaccine we're trying to help with that you could do naturally, that we're all now saying, oh, this is actually really beneficial and people should have been able to do this the whole time. And it's just kind of like we're just going to say our government cares about us so much that like we're going to dismiss all of this sort of stuff that is really also beneficial to us and just go take this thing that is a for-profit business. It seems a little disgenuine.
Well, I'm sorry that your business didn't operate. I mean, that
It did.
sucks.
I did. I stayed open during the pandemic in California.
There were people who lost their businesses.
100%.
That's a whole different thing. I'm not advocating for anybody to lose
Yeah.
their business. But we have to remember, guys, it's not just about here in America. The entire world was shut down.
There's actually places that weren't shut down that they had a very good outcome with COVID.
Yes, but for the most part, the entire world was shut down. We did not go to work for 14 months. I drove 2 hours to work and 2 hours back.
Yeah.
Because I was the only one coming into work into the building. I had to go in from Long Island into the building. That was a sacrifice that I made. Everybody has to make sacrifices at some point. And it's unfortunate that, there are consequences to that. It's awful. Did I want to not see my family and my mother for 2 years? No. But I also did not want my mother traveling on a plane or me going and because I have to work and be around people and affect her health possibly. She's an 80-year-old woman. So I was looking out for my fellow citizen.
Yeah.
And I could have lost my job. People could have, maybe people weren't going to watch the news anymore. People were upset about, us talking about the vaccine. There are consequences for everything. But I just think and I respect how you guys feel about the vaccine, but you're asking me my opinion. I think people are, hindsight is 20/20. We did not know.
I think a lot of people did know. It was just like if you said
A lot of people thought they know, but everybody's not doctors and everybody's not a scientist and everybody's not a virologist. And so listen to the scientists and the doctors and the virologists, and maybe the science changes over time or your knowledge of the vaccine or your knowledge of the disease or the virus changes over time.
Yeah.
It evolves as you learn more. And so I just don't think it's fair to talk shit about people who were trying to help people. I don't agree with that.
I think what was weird though about the whole situation is like, even if you did have your own opinion on it too, like even on social media, like your posts would get deleted.
It was
Well,
very
that's
controlled.
That's
right.
what made the whole COVID
That's not right.
situation feel fishy, and it felt like a form of control.
Well, I think it was
that posts were getting deleted.
Well,
You couldn't
that
even
was like the
talk
whole
about
misinformation thing.
Yeah.
I think if people are spreading misinformation and lies,
But define misinformation.
I think people, look, I believe in freedom of speech, but I think if people are actively spreading misinformation, it's going to hurt people. And if it's going to put their lives, their safety, and their health at risk, then I think it should be corrected. I
But
mean,
it's just so impossible to define misinformation at such an early stage of a virus too. Like
Well,
who decides what's
I mean,
misinformation?
but what's more important,
Facebook
your
and Instagram?
internet post or somebody's health?
But it's
So
just
then why
like,
were gyms closed down? If gyms is like the mecca of like working on your health.
Gym is like the mecca of people. Like of people,
Yeah.
and pushing out, and it spread. It was airborne, right?
but that was proven wrong too.
Yeah, it wasn't
well,
actually.
That's what they thought. But that's what they thought. You're proving my point. You're saying that was proven wrong. But in that moment, in that
But
time,
that's by the same doctors
but
that we were listening to too.
But we
right?
didn't know. That's
But there
the
was a
whole
lot
point.
of virologists and
I
doctors.
guess the
that-
doctors didn't know.
But nobody knew. That's
No,
like
but-
before. Nobody knew about cars before there were
Yeah.
cars.
But there
I
were
think
a
what
lot
he's
of,
saying is pretty fair, though.
yeah, it's fair, but there were a lot of virologists and doctors who were actually opposite of what mainstream was touting.
That's all
and they
true.
got shut down.
That's all true. But still,
But if you have 10 doctors saying, yo, this is a great thing, and you have 10 doctors saying this is a terrible thing, then like, why are we only choosing to like push the narrative it's a great thing and you need to do it?
because you go where the majority of the science is pushing you to go. That's what you do. I honestly, guys, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Which part?
I don't get it because do you think that I liked wearing a mask? Do you think that I liked not seeing my family? Do you think that I liked being cooped up in my house? Nobody liked it. But I mean, to just say like everybody was wrong and our government was doing this and the media is doing that, I just think it's like, it's internet brain.
Yeah.
It's like where
I think a lot of
everybody
people
is.
just thought it was a form of control though.
Yeah.
And I guess that's our only disagreement is like you said, you trust the government and you think they're looking out for you. And a lot of people think the exact opposite.
I don't think the government is always looking out for me, but I think when we're in the middle of a situation where there is a worldwide pandemic where lives are on the line, I think the government is going to look out for us.
I think they
have
weren't
enough-
looking out
That
for
sounds
have
like when they
enough
wouldn't.
confidence
That
in
sounds
it.
like when the most money could be made, in my
But
opinion.
I think it
don't
was the
believe
complete
I don't
opposite.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe that this was about money. Drug companies want to make money, but I don't think that telling people to wear masks and get a
Isn't it
vaccine, I
so
don't
easy
think that
though
was
if
about
like
money.
those people are just lobbying the government saying like, yo, make everyone take the vaccine?
No, I think that's a.
I mean, that's like an easy money trail, honestly, isn't
I
it?
think that's
Massive.
I think
It's
that's
huge.
That's like a
conspiracy
two-step money trail.
I think there's. I just don't agree with you on that whole thing. I'm sorry, I don't.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep questioning me,
No,
but I don't mind it. I'm not upset,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I just
no,
don't
no.
agree with you.
So
on
so
that.
let's switch a little bit.
I mean, especially for someone like me, like I'm a minority. I'm a gay man. Like I shouldn't trust the government. Like, people aren't necessarily looking out for me. There was a time when the government thought I couldn't get married. So, I have enough confidence though in the American system, especially in the middle of something that no one had ever heard of, that I have enough confidence that my government is leading me in the right direction. If my government wants to make money, then they're not going to want to kill me because I'm not going to be able to spend money.
So I guess that's just like Don's philosophy is he trusts the government and a lot of people just don't,
Yeah.
which makes sense.
Well, because then you get
I
the
mean,
conversation about like all the other ancillary damage that happened because of just like foregoing people's jobs and like all the other stuff that came with like, okay, if I'm gonna not take this vaccine because I'm more siding with this other scientist or this other virologist on like what is actually working to prevent COVID or to make my symptoms better, I'm thinking about this more natural remedy or herd immunity instead of this just like, I'm going to take this thing because blindly my government tells me to do it or with what they know at the time. I guess the question goes to be like, well, what about all the other lives that like it really detrimentally affected that we're just saying this is not as important because we're so focused on these other lives that are, like where, like that was my biggest beef when like personally was like, okay, we're going to shut down a gym. We're going to shut down these businesses, but like Costco down the street's open. All these other places are open and it's okayed. And this place is not okay. And you can't go here or do this or do that. And like other people's like, kids in school, for example, like they're not going to school. We're fucking up the education thing even more. It's like all these other things that are going to have all this trickle down effect and damage that we're just saying, fuck all that. Let's just focus on this right now. And it's like our focus where the point was on just the vaccine, take the vaccine, and this is the only way. And everything else is like smoke and mirrors or conspiracy, for better words. It just seemed like that doesn't feel right. Because then we go, none of this matters. Only this matters. Do this because we said it. And then you have everyone parodying the same shit.
Well, yeah,
The
I
elite
think
were
he
working
said the
hard.
same thing,
They were
though,
going
bro.
hard.
Like, no one knew how to handle the situation.
I get it, but at the same time, you're right.
But you're
It
gonna
wasn't
get the
just
same
vaccines,
response every
too.
time.
It was social distancing. It was masks. It was hand sanitizer.
I remember
it was
it all.
disinfectant. It was
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So it wasn't just like focusing on a vaccine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was focusing
I just-
on control is what it was focusing on. And it wasn't allowing people to go, oh, I can say, I believe this.
You have to have control over society. What do you think the cops are? That's about control. What do you think laws are? That's about control. What do you think a speed limit is? It's about control. What do you think like having insurance for your car is? That's about control. Having a driver's license, that's about control. Like you have to have levels of levers of control in your society, or you have a society that is
Chaos, yeah.
It's chaos.
Right. But where are we deciding like what life is mattering more? How do we determine that?
Well, for me, the lives that mattered more during COVID were the lives that were compromised and the people who had a better chance of getting sick, like frontline workers and healthcare workers. And I didn't know, babies, we didn't know, whatever, or people who have compromised immune systems.
Yeah.
So I'm a healthy person. You're a healthy person.
Right.
It's like, okay, I'm healthy, but I don't want to make somebody else unhealthy, because if I got the virus, then I'll probably live and survive. But I don't know if my 80-year-old mother's going to survive. So I'm going to wear a mask. I'm going to social distance.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a vaccine or a shot that can help prevent the spread of it or help me from getting it. And so that's what I did. And I think that people should respect that. And just like I respect your right. If you didn't want to do that, you don't want to get a vaccine, then don't get a vaccine. But I think that you have to have control, or there's chaos, as he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people weren't saying that at the time, but I just think, like I said, I think a lot of people just don't trust the government. Like you think that there's no level above the government, or you don't think that like
I
big
just told you that I
companies.
don't always trust the government, but I just said it in that situation where there was a worldwide pandemic and that we didn't know
but in
what
general,
the hell was going on. I trust that my government was looking out for me. I
In-
would hope that my government would
in
be
general,
looking
though,
out
you don't think there's like another layer above the government that's like big pharma and the military industrial complex that play like a huge role
Yeah.
in the way things are done?
for me. Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about making money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that's what we're about. Capital. You're talking about capitalism.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
live in a capitalistic society. Everybody's going to make money. I mean, you have a sponsor.
But using
here
the
that
government to
they-
force
they're
people
selling that. They have that to make money. You have a podcast, right?
But that's using the government to force people to do something in order for a company to make money.
Government forces you to do things every single day of your life. You got to pay
Right.
your utility bill. You have to pay your taxes. You have to get a driver's license.
But those
you have
make
to get
sense.
insurance. But I don't think it makes sense.
I think it makes sense.
I don't think it makes sense.
You don't.
I do think it makes sense, but
Yeah.
I'm just playing you because
No, but those
I
do
don't
make
believe
sense.
that I should have. Why should I have to go every 4 or 6 or 8 years and pay for a driver's license and whatever? Just give the government my money or whatever it is. Why should I have to pay taxes on? If I don't want to pay taxes because I want my money and I want to be selfish and I don't want to help out. So you can say the same thing
taxes
about a
could be
lot of
debated
things.
too.
Yeah, well,
For sure.
but we still pay them.
Yeah.
And we get jailed if we don't. There are consequences. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if there was one thing about COVID to me, it showed how powerful the media was, though.
You thought the media was powerful for COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
Oh, yeah.
I think if that's the
I'd
one.
like to hear about that.
Well, how do you
Divided.
disagree
I
with
never
that?
thought we were that powerful. I really didn't.
I mean,
How?
just not even just traditional media, but social media too. I mean, I think that for me, what it showed is whatever the government, or same thing. They were deleting stuff off social media. Whatever was on our phones at that time, we were believing.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, just the fact that
That was the most powerful the media's
Yeah,
ever
I'd
been.
agree with
because
that.
you obviously
But you said you didn't believe the media.
But I'm saying a lot of people did. Look what happened. Like, we look at our phones and we say, stay inside, don't go outside, lock yourself in your door, or lock yourself in your house. Everyone does it. And then the second you look at your phone and everyone says, okay, you can take the masks off, everyone takes the masks off. It's just, I mean, whether it was true or not, even if it was true, it did show me how powerful like social media and the media was.
Because like, for example, obviously like you were able to get on CNN or whatever and talk about whatever you were supposed to talk about or whatever you wanted to talk about in a sense. But from our perspective, I've been doing content for like 14 years now, and you literally couldn't say something that was opposite of what was being said over here. Whereas in over here, as in what you were talking about.
You could say, what do you mean? On social media? Is that
So
what you're
on
talking about?
social media, like you couldn't say
You would get your account deleted.
you couldn't say like the vaccine is like, don't take the vaccine. You had to say what they were saying. Otherwise, you were getting penalized. You were getting hidden. You were getting deleted. You couldn't speak opposite of what was being spoken on legacy and mainstream.
If you even put the word COVID, it will take down the
Look,
post.
I didn't work in social media,
Yeah.
so I
No,
don't
that's
know
why we're
what was
explaining it to
happening.
you.
But I do know that there was an effort, and I think there was, it was the right thing to do, is to try to limit the spread of misinformation. And again, this was an unusual time in the entire world. And so we don't live in that time now, and things have eased up. You can say pretty much whatever you want to say on social media within reason. So, I just think that we're taking this really unusual time that happens. It will never happen probably in none of our lifetimes.
I think it's important to talk about.
Yes, it is important to talk about. But I just think that when you think about it, you have to think, I don't know. Nobody knew. And it is normal to be upset. It is normal for you to have resentment about it. It is normal for people to have questions about it. It's normal for people to feel like, you know what, my kid lost out on education and is having, trouble relating to other people because we kept them home and maybe we shouldn't have. But the thing is, maybe we shouldn't have, but we didn't know.
Yeah,
Are you okay?
I hate it. I hate that we didn't know. It's like, but some people knew and they were silenced.
Steiny's trying to get a
How could
Pfizer
some
bag
people-
or some
Yeah,
shit,
what
eh?
the
How could
Nah,
some
it's
people-
fine. I'm just
Kelsey
so
has-
over talking about COVID, bro. Like,
Okay.
I am
That
because
shit.
I feel like this is how I feel. It's over.
yeah, it's done.
What's next?
Yeah, it's hard. Like that's true. It's just hard to I can accept it because I've accepted it.
You should put it in the past. You've opened a new gym since then.
Yes, but it's not about that. It's about like the people who like their whole lives are ruined that you can't just go, hey, it's over. Sorry, it's different now.
Yeah, but people's lives are ruined for smoking pot.
Yeah.
People's lives are ruined for selling weed, and now it's legal, and people are making millions of dollars.
Yeah, but what you're talking about smoking pot and selling weed versus like you have to take this vaccine or you can't go to school. You have to take this vaccine or you can't work.
And all I'm telling you is that that happened. That's a reality. We cannot go back.
But
and
that's
change
not the
it.
same as saying someone
That
smoked weed
we
and got
should move
high.
on.
That's like
No,
very
I'm not
different.
saying that. I'm saying there are people who are
We
sitting
won't
in
agree on
prison.
this.
Yeah, no. it's
I'm
great.
saying there are people who are sitting in prison now,
Right.
for smoking marijuana or selling marijuana,
Right.
And now everyone
Thanks
is
to
out on the
Kamala
street
Harris.
smoking marijuana
Yeah.
and making gazillions of dollars selling it legally, and there are people who are sitting in
Yeah.
prison who do the same
bullshit.
thing. It's
Kamala Harris is a big
But-
weed jailer.
that's it. Whatever.
Since you said it.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people who are.
Wait, why?
No,
You're
Kamala
funny.
Harris is
She's
known
a
for,
former prosecutor, and you're saying that.
but
she
she's went
sent
after a lot of
to-
people
For
for like
marijuana?
weed, marijuana.
Out of here with that.
Let's talk
That's
about
crazy, bro.
what do you
But
think about?
I'm trying to help you
What do you think
guys.
about that? Since you brought weed up,
Wait, hang on. I'm trying to help you.
smoke
that's
weed?
bullshit.
Move on. Do
You
I
smoke
smoke weed? No, I have nothing against. I would smoke weed. I used to smoke weed. I used to do edibles.
Yeah.
I just don't like the way it makes me feel.
I get
anymore.
anxious.
I would
Yeah.
rather. I get anxious. I go inside of my head too much. I can't really remember shit. I'm getting
Yeah.
older. My memory's already going, and I would prefer to do mushrooms.
Yeah, me
Love
too.
it.
Damn,
Oh,
let's
see,
go.
you thought-
Now we
yeah.
bonded.
Here we go.
There we go.
you guys made up. Here we go.
Oh shit! Now we're homies now.
What do you think about all the? You said you did a podcast before this. Everything going on at Columbia, UCLA, the campus is kind of getting taken over. Doesn't
That's
seem.
a very broad question.
Well, I mean, it
But-
doesn't seem like really like people want to say you have the right with the First Amendment. It's in a protest, but it's like an encampment. They're kind of literally camping on college campuses, closing down buildings. Like it's getting a little out of hand. Taking down the American flag, raising the Palestinian flag. Like it just seems like there's no order there.
Well,
That's up.
again, that's a broad question because, as you know, you guys know who Bassem Youssef is, right?
No.
He is Palestinian. Is he Palestinian? I forget what it is, but he's Arab, and he is very pro-Palestinian. He has family members in Gaza, and he's a comedian, and became very outspoken after this started happening. He had this like interview with Piers Morgan that went viral,
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. So if you listen to him, you hear a certain perspective, and then as I told you, I was at this work dinner last night, and I was sat next to a rabbi, and if you listen to the rabbi, it's a completely different perspective. So I think it was like It's people talking over each other. And so my advice to the rabbi asked me my advice last night. My advice to the rabbi was that you can't tell people they're stupid, that they don't know their history, especially kids who are going to higher institutions of learning, so that they can learn how to critically think. And they are testing the bounds of First Amendment and their freedom of expression. You can't tell them they're stupid, because then you're never going to get anywhere with them.
Yeah,
right?
but do you still think they're protected by the First Amendment?
Right. No, that's another question. And so so for the other side, a similar thing. Like, you can't tell people, it's a genocide, it's whatever. Those are trigger words. I just think they're talking over each other, and this is a conflict that neither of us are gonna
For
solve.
sure.
And it's been happening for centuries, and it's not gonna happen over the next few weeks or the next few months. Now, the whole First Amendment thing, I believe that this has gone beyond the First Amendment.
Yeah.
The First Amendment is actually for governments and for public institutions. These are public institutions, and these are private institutions, most of them, and they don't have to abide by that, by the First Amendment. They can abide by the spirit of the First Amendment if they want to, but also they have the right to be able to make sure that their university and their business is operating, that
Right.
kids are in class, that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing as educators and people who are tasked with making sure that people on these campuses are safe. Should people be able to protest? Absolutely. It's the bedrock of,
For sure, I
our
agree with you.
Constitution in America, that we are able to have our freedom of expression. Doesn't mean that you have to agree with someone. That's what the First Amendment is for. It's for speech that you disagree with. So I don't like the violence. I don't like the anti-Semitism. I don't like the any sort of bigotry or racism.
Taking down the flag, I think, is just like disrespectful,
Yes, it is.
especially
but-
when you live in America.
It is, but here's the thing. We have the right to burn our flag. We have a right to criticize our country. Doesn't mean that I agree
Burning
with
the flag.
Yeah, I hate that.
it. Well, you have the right to do it.
Yeah,
it
but
doesn't
right.
mean
But
that
like you said, that's
it doesn't mean that you should do it.
Yeah.
Now, listen, and I am not agreeing that it's okay for people to do it, but you have the right to do it.
well, that's f***ed up.
Yeah, I agree. We've had Dana White on a few times, and he's like talked about how people are so afraid now to like be proud to be an American.
Yes, but
Which I
I
think
don't
is-
think performative patriotism is being proud of being an American. I just think it's performative patriotism.
But I'm just saying-
being a patriot
Yeah.
actually means knowing and understanding that people have the right to do things that we don't like in America.
But burning the
so-
flag is such a lack of respect
Yeah.
for the
I-
country that you live
I-
in.
I agree.
And I feel like they don't appreciate enough
I
that they
agree.
live in a country like America.
But people have the right to do it.
Of course. But
And if we're going to believe
I think
in
it's
our
crazy.
in democracy, then we have to allow people to be able to do that. Even
What
if
do
we
you
don't
think
like
about it personally, burning the flag?
I just said I don't
Yeah.
agree with it. I don't
Right.
like it.
Okay.
Yeah, this shit's just crazy. Like, I don't know. I saw Columbia, I think, canceled their graduation and stuff. Just gotten completely out of hand.
Am I not?
It's fine.
Got you.
It's a full sun podcast. We're a little
Gabe
on
likes
the
to
go.
find his little moments in there.
Yeah, he likes to get his camera time
Yeah,
too. He
thanks,
comes
Gabe.
in for one mic fix.
I have a question for you in regards to like going from mainstream to social media wholly, right? Because you went to do some stuff with Elon Musk
Digital
on
media,
X.
not just
digital.
so- yeah.
Yeah. And did you expect to have more sort of like, I don't know, whether it be like viewers or engagement or less? Like when you left, did you have like a higher expectation? Or because like, for example, like Tucker, I don't know the relationship, I don't know details, but like he left sort of legacy and like massively blew up on social media, Twitter, X, all this. Like his numbers are insane. So no, what you're smiling? Why?
Because we don't know if those numbers are real, but that's
Oh,
okay.
okay.
But go on.
I'm
what's your
sensing
question?
shade here, by the way.
No, I'm not trying
there's
to throw shade.
No,
I'm
it's
just-
not shade. I'm just. I don't shade people. I just tell the truth.
You think Tucker's
Maybe-
botting views?
Do I think what?
You think Tucker's
botting?
botting views?
No. I'm just saying that people are in control of their own algorithms, and they can. Are you kidding me?
People are, you mean like buying
Well, I
views
mean,
or buying?
I think that Tucker could be getting pushed harder. On
That's,
X.
I think, what he's
But
going
Tucker's
towards.
big.
Yeah, but
Tucker's big,
that's
though.
no secret. So the entire reason that I was going there is because I wanted to do this,
Yeah.
what we're doing now,
Yeah.
and they were going to amplify my presence on the platform.
Right.
So you can amplify who you want and you can suppress who you want. Now, I'm not saying that they're doing that, but when I said you don't know if those numbers are real, you don't know what they're doing with their algorithm. And for them saying, Don, we want you to come on the platform. We're gonna amplify your thing. We're gonna give you this, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that. So I don't know. And I know Tucker. I have nothing against Tucker. We've spoken a couple of times, so I'm not saying anything shady about Tucker. I'm, more power to him. Yeah. But Tucker also has a much more concentrated and a bigger audience than I do. There are only so many places in mainstream media where conservatives can go when they feel like they're at home.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know why that is, but I know that in the spaces that I am now, it's much more conservative than mainstream media.
It's interesting. That's interesting to me. That concept's interesting.
Yeah, I think conservatives felt like they didn't have a home in legacy media, so they sort of built a new. They were the pioneers in streaming and online and podcasting.
It's interesting though, because it's like it's just the audience. Then it's like that's what the people are wanting. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't think it's just like I don't think it's enough to be botting like 30 million views on.
Well, he didn't say
Twitter.
botting, but yeah.
Well, I think this.
You said
like
what?
Tucker did an interview with Putin after he got fired from Fox. Like he kind of exploded once he got fired.
Well, yes, but I mean Tucker was way more powerful on Fox News. I think Fox News is an engine for conservatism, right? Yeah. So I think he had. Listen, this is going to sound like I'm shading Tucker, and I'm not. I think he had much more relevance over the culture, much more influence, I should over the culture at Fox News than he does now on streaming. It doesn't mean that, he doesn't have, a lot of eyes on him. But an interview with Putin on Fox News would have had much more of an impact than it had on Twitter.
I guess when I look at it, it's like, it almost feels like, I don't know, the sort of, I guess in this conversation, the right side of things were just maybe more kind of hidden. I
think it had a big impact though.
Yeah.
I thought Putin was just boring.
But I think
I didn't say it didn't have a big impact.
Putin was boring in that interview though.
It would have had a bigger impact. Listen, there is legacy media is shrinking. Cable news is shrinking. We know that. But there's still a cachet about television that streaming does not have yet. And you can say a million things on streaming. I could say, same shit that I would say on streaming that I would say on CNN that would blow up. I could say it on streaming and people don't pay attention to it. Every content provider, every YouTuber will tell you the same thing. Cenk Uygur will tell you the same thing. David Pakman will tell you. Everybody will tell you the same thing. That it's just television still has this sort of outsized influence in the culture.
Yeah.
And many people don't realize that it's diminishing.
How did the whole X thing come about? Like,
what do you mean?
Do you reach out to them or they reach out to you?
No, he tweeted, I want you to come on the platform several times.
Do you regret how that interview went?
No. I have no regrets, I should say. No, I don't regret.
Can we go over what you wanted from X?
This is what I wanted.
Tell can I read this tweet? You can tell if it's
fake news or not.
If it's fake or not.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's accurate, but a free Cybertruck, a hefty $5 million advance, $8 million salary, equity in X, control over news content policy changes, private jet to Vegas, luxury accommodations, and the company to cover day drinking and massages, which the last two I agree with for sure. Drinking and massages.
So let me.
Did they not want to cover drinking and massages?
Let me just say this. So January, we were in dry January. Okay, so there's no.
So this changes everything.
There's no drinking it.
Yeah, so I wasn't drinking.
Okay.
So I would just say to you that I may end up in litigation with them, so I don't really want to talk about it. But I will just say to you, don't believe everything you read. And you would have to think.
But what if the government said
why
that?
It
wasn't dry massage January, though.
But listen.
Sorry.
I would say don't
I want him to
believe.
negotiate my next deal.
He's good.
Don't believe everything you read. And you'd have to wonder, why would someone leak that?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Damn.
Why would somebody leak that?
The most viral clip from that whole interview is the ketamine question.
Yeah.
What was the angle there?
I wanted to know why he used ketamine. I didn't ask him about anything that he hadn't talked about publicly before.
Yeah. Because even he he reacted in a way like, wow, that's really personal to ask about someone's like prescription.
If he hadn't talked about it, I wouldn't have asked about it. He is, number one, the main reason I asked is because he talked about SSRIs and that people should be looking at other things for depression and mental health than traditional, as you say, big pharma. And I agree with that. Yeah. So I asked him about it. The other thing is that he has a lot of government contracts and clearances, and if he worried that that was going to possibly affect those. So he's a very consequential person to the world. So I think that that question was very much in line. And when he said to me,
has he talked publicly about doing ketamine?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when he said, listen, I said that because I think I'm paraphrasing. I want to take the stigma off of depression. And I believe that people, and I said, great, I suffer from depression. I take an antidepressant and I have had guided medical therapy. I agree with you, but it was two people talking past each other. He didn't hear me. And so I don't know why he became upset.
Were you surprised about the backlash you kind of got from that? Like even
yes
in the comments?
And no. I was surprised that people were surprised that I was going to ask him pretty simple, basic questions. But I was also surprised that the response, most of the response has been around capitalism. You had the opportunity for someone to make you really rich and you did that. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm fine. I have money. But nobody buys me. I'm a journalist. You hired me. You didn't hire me. He wasn't my boss. It was like we had a content deal, a partnership, because of the work that I have done, the work that you have seen. You asked me to join this platform. And so I want people to know about you and know about me, and the people in my world are wondering why you feel this way about this, why you put this out there. And then, our second conversations could have been bros drinking beer, but our first conversation could not be that. And so I was simply asking him about his own public statements.
You could have started with the drinking beer first.
Yeah.
Warm up a little bit.
Maybe you crack a cold one first before you bust out the
Can't go straight
ketamine.
to the K-hole.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the chaos. That's
No,
crazy.
I said a drinking beer
You usually have a
conversation.
drink with someone before you do ketamine with someone, right?
No.
At least that's what
No.
I've done.
No.
Yeah. No.
No.
No, I've never done ketamine recreationally to,
Me neither. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone else.
yeah.
Only once in Colombia.
Yeah.
Really?
Tusi.
Oh, yeah.
It was one time. Bro.
Yeah.
So did I answer your question? I don't even remember
Yeah.
we're talking
Dude,
about.
what is it? Do you have like
But
thoughts?
you asked me if I regretted it.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I didn't regret that.
Nate, I haven't seen you out there all night, buddy. We're trying to back check.
We're up to more than 2 games here.
Boys, what are we doing? All right, I know we're down 8-0. The odds are stacked against us right now. Let's get back out there. Let's get 8 straight. Let's turn this around, boys.
Let's go.
You can do this.
Gentlemen.
Oh, boys.
The game started 2 periods ago. This is embarrassing.
Hey, ref, can't you see we're in the middle of something?
I mean, I'm going to be in the middle of your wife soon. Have you seen her out there?
Okay, whoa.
It's his wife, bro.
Wait, the wife's here. That means the sister's got to be here, too.
Okay. Have you seen his sister?
Yeah, my sister.
She just started an OF, too?
Yeah.
Subscribe. Totally worth it.
Bro, it's a joke. Stop.
Hey, listen. All of you should follow suit. None of you should be playing the third, all right? Keep it going. You have 0 chance of winning. Like, none. Whatever. Wait a second. Are those Happy Dads? Where'd you get those? You know what? Boys, listen. I think we can work something out. What do you guys say? You just, try your best out there. By the end of the third, it'll be 9-8. What do you say? Yeah. We make it happen? Oh, beautiful. All right, boys, let's go.
And they're down by 8 heading into the third.
High stick, interference, trapping.
Team Blue has run into some serious penalty trouble here in the third.
Why don't you FaceTime your mom in there?
And here's a 5-on-1 opportunity. Scores! And the game is tied at 8.
That's a dive.
And that's a strange penalty. The ref is calling it a dive. And he seems to be getting into it now with the Tads in the stands.
Family photo.
Across the crease. Scores! Can you believe it? What a comeback!
You take mushrooms while you're on SSRI?
No, I didn't say I actively take mushrooms. I
Okay.
said I would much rather do mushrooms than to do pot.
So you weren't
Mushrooms is such a
surprised.
safe answer, though.
And then I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't think the thing that I'm taking is an SSRI. It is an antidepressant, but it's something different.
yeah.
So you weren't surprised, like like your comment section when you uploaded it was just like it's a lot of hate, like some of the comments.
No, I got a lot of love too.
Can I read?
But
I'm
I
gonna
don't.
read
I
one
don't.
of these.
I don't really. But let me just say this: opinions are like everybody has one, and I never let that affect the work that I do.
Yeah,
I was
but you
just
shouldn't.
surprised that people were that the biggest response from the Elon sort of sycophants or lovers was just that, wow, you had the gall to ask the richest man in the world this, and you had the gall to someone who's
Yeah.
going to make you a lot of money. That doesn't mean anything to me. What I'm doing is what I think is right, and trying to get truth from someone and trying to get people to know who he is, know who I am, and to understand that people who have different worldviews can actually sit down and have a conversation. That was it.
I respect that.
This one comment's like, Don Lemon reminds me of my girlfriend when she's in a bad mood and is trying to find something totally irrational to get mad at me about. It's pretty funny.
You got to find some humor in some of the stuff, right?
That's
if that, no, but
crazy.
seriously, if
funny.
that was funny, I don't mind criticism, but I don't get the. I
Like
don't
that
get-
one girlfriend that's just trying to get something on you.
Oh, you mean for the interview?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's funny. But see, I don't have a girlfriend. I have a husband.
True.
That's true.
So I don't have to deal with that. Maybe it's just because I.
Does
I
he
can't
ever
relate
nag you
to that.
sometimes though, like trying to get info out of you?
Do I what?
Does he ever nag you to get information out of you?
No, he doesn't nag me to get information, but I mean,
Sometimes you're like, shut up, you know?
No, I don't have to do that. I mean,
Okay.
maybe that's why I'm gay. I don't have to deal with that.
Oh shit.
We don't. I mean, it's just like you're hanging out with your bro, but you're married.
Being gay is a lot
I kinda
simpler.
like that.
That's dope.
Yeah,
You thought about that.
except
one
for the
time.
gay sex.
Except for that part.
I don't know. He might. He's a little questionable.
No, I can't.
Sometimes. It's okay, bro.
In the K-hole, maybe.
So what? Is there ever any mending the relationship with Elon?
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe. I mean, I would talk to sit down and talk. I have nothing against Elon. I wasn't trying to get Elon. It's like you asking me these questions. I'm not going to get up and run away and get mad and say, you can't, how dare you to air that podcast? I did not sign a release. I agreed to come here and do it. So
Yeah.
why would I
respect
get mad
that.
at you?
We all respect that.
Yeah.
And so
for sure.
I just think it's being like a baby, because if I'm asking you about shit that you talked about.
Yeah, I think he should have maybe kissed his ass a little bit and got the bag personally.
Well, that's the thing. I'm surprised at that response. And I've actually heard some people who claim to be journalists.
You
say-
could
But
have
he
been,
also-
you could have been whipping in a Cybertruck.
Yeah, bro.
easy.
I can if I want a
Massages-
cyber. First of
massages
all, I
paid
don't want a
for?
Cybertruck. But
Why not?
But did you
I'm
ask for one or
I'm
not?
anyways, I answered that. I don't want a Cybertruck
Why not?
because I'm not interested in a Cybertruck.
Oh damn.
What are you
I
whipping
love-
right
But
now?
what about the massages?
What am I whipping right now?
You got a
an
Porsche taken.
Uber?
Nah, don't be modest.
He
You got,
definitely
you got
drives a
something
Porsche.
nice at the crib.
100%.
Do you want to know? So I'll tell you what. cars-
Realistically, yeah.
And what have you
What do
bought?
I have? And then you'll understand why I don't. That was not an interest of mine. I have a 1966 Lincoln Continental with suicide doors, convertible.
Okay, yeah, that's
A 1973 Mercedes-Benz 220 gas, not
Yeah.
diesel.
Nice.
I have a 1987 Ford, what do you call it? Country Squire with wood panel sides. What else do I
You
have?
seem pretty into cars.
Dude, the
I do.
Continental's
I like,
crazy.
I like old cars. and then
Continental's
I
crazy.
have a. Do I have, and I have a 1969 Silver Shadow Rolls. Yeah, and
Filthy.
and then I just sold last summer an '87 Defender.
Damn.
Nice.
You have good taste in cars.
Damn.
Yeah.
Really good taste in cars.
What have you bought for your man's? Anything?
Well, he gets to drive all the
Oh, he
cars.
just gets to drive them.
Yeah, but I mean, you know,
Yeah, I know how it goes.
He has a good
I buy,
life.
I buy shit for my
he
girl
has a
all the
good
time.
life.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get rid of a lot of those cars. I just want like 2 cars, and maybe I'll get an electric car.
But not a Tesla.
I have nothing against Tesla. I've actually rented Teslas before, and they're nice cars to drive. They drive themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
So
this.
again, I know people think that I had this person. I was going to go into business with Elon Musk. Obviously, I did not have anything against him.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like out like trying to needle him for things.
Yeah,
I just think that, he got a bit flustered about not being able to answer some of the questions, and he took it out personally on me. And, it's like, I'm going to cancel your contract, or I'm going to take my marbles and go home. Fine. That's just, you can do it.
Yeah.
But
Do you?
It's kind of a crazy concept though, if you think about it. Like, he owns the platform,
yeah.
right? And he's like, you would never want to put out a podcast where you don't like the way you look on your own platform.
I think that he would have gotten much more respect and much more cred if he just had taken it and said, this is what I want this platform to be. I truly do believe in free speech. And even if it's uncomfortable, and even if someone puts me in a position where I feel uncomfortable, this is what I want this platform to be. I truly believe
I agree with you, but I think if let's say it was me and you and I was Elon and I'm giving you the opportunity and then I felt shaded like that, I'd be like, what the fuck too? With like putting yourself in his shoes.
Yeah, no. Because people come on and I have uncomfortable conversations. People challenge me. When I was at CNN, they challenged me, and that was, you're in my house.
Yeah.
It's fine. You can challenge me. And now on my streaming show, the Don Lemon Show.
Okay, can I challenge you real quick?
People challenge me all the time. Like, Bassem challenged me today.
Can I challenge you?
You can, challenge me, but people do it on my own platform, and I don't get mad and like run and say, I'm not gonna get off my show.
Yeah. Okay, so let's, all over the internet, you get like people like to say you have misogyny. Like, you did make the Nikki Haley comments. You say you don't regret anything. What were you trying to? I guess what I'm trying to say is like, what did you mean exactly when you said she's out of her prime or women are out of their prime?
Did you actually see the whole thing?
No, so I want to hear. But I want to hear what you said exactly.
So I'll tell you what I was trying to do, and that was take up for older people, because I thought she was being ageist. And I thought that she was doing to older people what society has done to women for years, right? Discrimination. I also thought when she was saying that people should have to take a test in order to be able to run for office or to vote, that it was like a poll tax, which we outlawed, right? And so I was saying, according to society, or that a woman is out of her prime at a certain age, but a man as well. So I wasn't saying, and I said,
nothing to do with physical appearance.
No, not at all. And I said, I don't necessarily believe that, but no one picks up on that. And again, it was me being analytical and not saying something that I personally believed. But I think that, it touched a nerve for women, because women are discriminated against in our society. So that's how I felt about it. But the thing about it is that I know her. I don't know her well. She could have called me and said, "Hey, Don, what were you trying to say?" But she immediately
so you guys talked?
No, we didn't talk.
Oh.
But I've spoken to her before.
Got
I've
it.
interviewed her before, and I've run into her socially before. And she immediately like went and raised money off of it, and I just thought it was just very hypocritical of her. If I knew someone and they said something that I thought was, that I, was like looked left at them like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? I would call them up and say, what did you mean by that? Before I went out and started slamming them.
Yeah. Do you hate that you have that kind of reputation?
For what?
Like being misogynist?
I don't know if I have that reputation, but I'm definitely not a misogynist at all. The exact opposite, actually.
I read something too, which I think we agree.
That's funny.
I don't think there should be, when we talk about the NBA and WNBA, like obviously men, I agree, think should get paid more. I think women should also make more.
Right.
But that's recently changing because Caitlin Clark's an absolute beast. What do you think about, so the head coach of South Carolina for the women's team said that she thinks that men, like trans, should be able to play.
This is a trans conversation now that we've gotten into.
Yeah, you just went to
Do I see?
I just want to hear your thoughts on that because it's a wild thing
She
to
said
say.
that trans.
Like trans women
Should
or
be
tra-
allowed
yeah.
to play. And it actually pisses me off because women just had the most successful year ever. They absolutely crushed it. And now she goes and makes a comment like that, which we had Michael Porter Jr. on recently, and he said, dude, any guy could go in there and I'd have 75 a game. Like,
Well, people might think that you're being misogynist by saying that.
no, I'm not. I'm saying that.
But what's
I
your
don't think
opinion
that
on
men
trans
should be
women?
able to
Listen,
transition and
one,
compete
I
in
think
women's
it's
sports.
such a small part of the population, and I'm surprised by the sort of.
But it only
outsized-
takes one trans woman to get in there and fuck shit up.
Yeah, right. So I'm surprised by the interest in this. Do I think it's personally? I think that how do I say
Come
this
on,
without
dog.
sounding?
You got this.
I want to make sure that I say the right thing, because the only thing that I do regret about the conversation the whole Nikki Haley thing, is that I'm a journalist and I should be more precise in my language.
Yeah.
That's it. Not about anything I said or feeling or being a misogynist, because I'm not.
There's too long. Do you think
so-
biological men should be able to play in women's sports?
I think that it should be studied, but I do think that
What do you study?
physically, men,
Yeah, it's just not fair.
Physically, men are stronger and faster
For sure.
than women. And so I have questions about it myself. Me personally, it's not for me to decide, but I think there is an inherent advantage when someone who plays in a women's sport and perhaps they are stronger. And
Do you think it's
faster.
kind of? I think it's
How can a
stupid that
woman
you even have
support
to
that?
explain yourself like in that careful of words on a
because
subject
of
like
what
that.
the question that he asked me
No,
before.
well, I'm like defending you. Like I'm
Yeah,
saying,
that was
like,
bad timing about
Don't
that.
you think
Yeah.
it's crazy that we even have to talk about that? Like,
I
how
agree,
can we
but-
debate that biological men are playing in women's sports?
Yeah.
and I know it's a small
No, the real-
percentage.
You
but
promised me I have a book that's coming out.
Yeah.
The real question is, why do you
And
have to be
should read
afraid
it,
to
because I
say
talk
that?
about a lot of these things, and you're going to be really surprised
When's it
about how
coming
I
out?
actually feel about them.
When's it coming?
September.
Okay.
And
You
it's
have a
called,
title?
Huh? It's
Title?
called I Once Was Lost, My Search for God in America, where I talk about DEI, I talk about trans women and trans men in sports. I talk about all of those things. And you might be surprised about my actual feelings on it. I do think that people have questions about it. As a member of the LGBTQ community, I have questions about trans issues, not just trans people in sports.
What's the Q? What's the difference between Q and the G?
Questioning. I think it's
okay.
called questioning.
And then what's with
But
the
are we
plus?
all questioning?
What's
I mean,
with
you
the-
guys just questioned him.
Well, he's questioning for sure.
When do the math equations, like when is the plus and minus? Like what's that?
There's a plus. I don't know. I guess I think what they're trying to do is be inclusive to all communities, and yeah,
I always wondered, like, why do they group like gay people and trans people? Like, I feel like it's
because
two
trans people
totally.
are not necessarily gay, right? I think it's for
Well,
people who
does
are
that bother
part
you?
of
I think the
underserved
gay
communities.
people are better spokesmen for the trans people because the trans people they're not that good at defending their own issues, and it takes a gay person to come in and really defend them logically.
Well, I think trans people are probably the most vulnerable.
That's what I
among
mean.
The,
And then the gay people always have to come and stick up for
groups.
them and like.
Going off what he's saying is, I actually like have heard from gay people that they're like, we don't want to be grouped together because we're it's not
two
the same
totally
thing.
separate issues.
It is. It's an issue among in the
crazy.
gay community. And it's an issue among the trans community. Some trans people believe that a lot of gay men are transphobic. I don't know that to be true. I don't have any scientific or non-scientific knowledge on that, but that is a discussion among people who are in the gay and or LGBTQ community.
I know. I was always wondering that because I think it's just two separate things.
Look, I think the intention is good. Like the intention is to look out for people who are who have issues, who are underserved in society, who are ostracized. And I think so. It's trying to create an umbrella for all. Like we were discriminated
safe
against,
haven for more
so
people.
we want to bring people in and try to protect
get
them.
that.
I think the intention is good, but I do think sometimes you need to reassess things to.
Do you think you
figure
can
out if you're
protect
going the right way.
everyone?
Do I think you can protect everyone?
Yeah.
Sure, I think you can protect everyone.
Yeah.
In what way? Like, how do you mean that?
It just seems like we're always in this sort of battle of like, protect this person, protect that person, don't protect this person more, protect that person more. It's like,
I feel like no one's safe.
Well, I mean the LGBTQ plus, that's not a government organization.
right. But the government, our government specifically now, is very much sides and does everything it can to sort of protect.
Well, I think you should protect people who people commit hate crimes against. Yeah, I think that there should be protected classes of people in our society. I mean, there are people who discriminate against African Americans. There are people who discriminate against women. There are people who discriminate against Muslim people. There are anti-Semites in the world, and I think that people should be protected. There are certain groups that need protecting.
I think the main thing people have with the trans issue is that they're teaching it in schools.
Yeah. And the sports thing's crazy. Though.
Sports thing's absolutely insane.
I
We
don't
all
know if
know
they're
that. but-
teaching it in schools, but
I think they are.
I think there's some
awareness is
teachers
okay,
that
but
You never heard of the furries?
no.
Wait, what are the
They're telling kids that they could be like furries, and like if the kids want to be raccoons, they're like giving them litter boxes and stuff.
Oh, I don't know about that thing.
It's going
but-
on. Search it up.
I don't
In
know about
Seattle,
that,
apparently.
But I mean,
You should
I
do a
was,
segment
I was
on
told that I could be Superman growing up, and so I wore a Superman costume and I ran around the house and thinking I could fly. And I
True.
couldn't.
Were you never able to fly?
No.
Oh.
And I, jumped off the roof with the garbage cans. Did
True,
you guys
that's
ever
true.
do that?
I feel like I've
Try
tried to fly for sure.
It doesn't work.
But they do they're teaching kids that they could be whatever gender they want.
I don't have knowledge of enough knowledge to speak on that with.
You didn't
know,
see the whole
any
thing
sort of-
going on in Florida with what's going on in Florida? DeSantis just passed.
The whole "don't say gay" thing, or
Yeah, but it was also the teaching of gender fluidity.
Like
in
the books and
schools.
all this stuff in school at a young age.
Well, look, I'm not a parent. And again, I don't have enough knowledge of that to speak on it with any sort of clarity. But I don't think there's anything wrong with, kids having knowledge. I think that, my parents protected me from things that I knew about before they knew that I knew about them. And so I would rather.
But telling them they
I
could be
would
whatever gender
rather-
they want.
I would rather.
At a young
have-
age?
Well, yeah.
You'd rather have that come from your
but
parents
I had
than a teacher,
We
though.
all had very similar things to. Our parents did similar things. My parents told me I could be whatever I wanted when I grew up.
Yeah, but your parents telling you is different than like a teacher in a school.
My
saying,
teacher
like,
told me I could be whatever I wanted when I
Yeah,
grew up.
Career-wise, not gender-wise.
He said just in life.
Yeah.
I mean, we did not have gender discussions, but I mean,
Do you think,
You know what?
there should be
They're
that
having
should be
them.
happening at such a young age?
well, I mean, we all
I
experiment
don't know.
too,
I'm
right?
not an educator, and so you'd have to ask someone who is an educator or someone who.
No, I'm asking your opinion. Do you think that kids should be taught that at such a young age, given that they're so
Well, no
vulnerable
one
to
can
it?
teach you to be trans.
Of course, but
No
like,
one can teach you to be gay. You either
100%.
are, or no one can teach you to be straight. You just
Yeah.
are.
right. But like at a young age for children, right? And in a sense where if we're saying like this is acceptable, everyone wants to kind of be accepted and be part of a community, right?
Right.
So at a young age, if you're a kid and there's a group of kids who are all like, oh, I'm this, or I can be this, or they're learning who they are in the moment, like in real time. Like you're the most susceptible when you're young. So it's like, if you're given this information, your thoughts naturally go, oh, that could be me. Just like you saw Superman, you're like, oh, I could be Superman. So now you're seeing this sort of like the book saying this and that and all these things where it's like, it's fine to be these things. But at this age, should we be showing that where it's like, yes, those things are fine to be, but what if you're susceptible to saying, okay, this is who I am now because I see these books and I'm just thinking this is who I am, even though I'm not really that yet.
Look, it would depend on the age, but I got to tell you this. It's like, I don't believe that, I don't believe as a whole that kids are being indoctrinated to any certain thing. I went to Catholic school my entire life. They taught us that being gay was an abomination. I ended up being gay. So it's not like they were like trying to force me to be gay. I ended up being the opposite thing of what they wanted me to be.
Right.
So I don't think that just by having
good point.
awareness of something that it indoctrinates you and it causes you to be that.
That's fair.
What's your response to that, bro?
No, I mean, it's a fair answer.
Solid
No,
point.
but I was going back to what you said. And this is not really on topic, but I don't think teachers do that enough. Like telling kids they can be whatever they want to be.
Yeah.
I think it actually school you in the head and makes you think you can't do that, but maybe that's just too personal.
That's not personal.
You took him to a
That's
dark
not
place.
really personal.
You took him to a dark
Yeah,
place.
a few of my teachers will say that. I'm just saying we can go. We can move on.
You're so funny. So do you like the social media life? Do you like the internet
You mean
shit?
digital? Yeah, I do. I love it because I can say whatever I want.
Cool.
I like being able to build an audience. I like creating a community and building a community. I like that there are no rules.
Wait, but so it's crazy when you say you can say whatever you want. So before you couldn't say whatever you want. Because earlier we were talking about you could, but you
Yes, I could say whatever I want, and I did. But the difference is that I'm responsible for myself now.
okay.
So I feel like I have more of a freedom to say whatever I want, because if something happens, if someone, gets mad at me, if an advertiser wants to pull something, it's me. When I worked in traditional media, I represented an entire company. I represented a brand. I represented 4,500 other people who worked for that company.
Right.
And so it wasn't just me. So again, I was looking out for my fellow people, and so I didn't want to say anything that would cause them to harm. Also, I had to remember that we had people who were in very dangerous parts of the world, and I did not want to cause them harm and put their lives in danger.
How was that environment working? You said like 4,500 other people. Like it seems like it'd be pretty toxic working for a media network like that.
No, it was toxic.
No.
I thought it was a great experience.
So you enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Which would you choose? Like, what do you prefer now?
I prefer what I'm doing now.
Yeah, it's way better on this side. You have all the freedom, dude.
Ask me in a year or two when, when I've grown my platform to millions of people, when I've fine-tuned it and perfected it. Now it's just all experiment. I'm just trying things. And if it works, I do it. If it doesn't work, then I don't do it. And if it doesn't work, I don't go, oh my God, that didn't work and get enough clicks or enough views. It doesn't really matter because that's how you learn.
Yeah. You learned though.
Yeah.
Clip farming.
Yeah.
That ketamine question was a clip farm.
Good. Yeah. He got one. What
This is a joke.
was your take on the whole Daily Wire letting go of Candace Owens? That was crazy, I think.
So here's the thing. Like I will watch people who I don't necessarily agree with them politically and their worldview, if they're good performers, right?
Yeah.
Like I think, and if they're passionate, like I hardly agree with anything that Ben Shapiro says, but he is passionate about what he does and he's a great performer and he's really smart. But I don't agree with whatever, a lot of what he says. Same thing about Elon. I didn't agree with, most of what Elon puts out on Twitter, but, I think he's consequential to the world. So I don't just watch people who I agree with. Like I know it's going to sound weird. I used to love watching Bill O'Reilly because I thought he was a great performer. I used to love watching Megyn Kelly because I thought she's a great performer.
Yeah.
I don't agree with hardly anything that they say.
Do you think Tucker's a good performer?
I think,
We had Tucker on here.
He's pretty good at performing.
He
great,
said if he could get dinner with any news person, like any journalist, it would be you.
Yeah, I know. So
Yeah.
I think Tucker is a very bright person, a very smart person.
I'm quoting him. He said the opposite about you. He
But
said
yeah,
you're the stupidest on
he
TV.
calls me dumb. I know that.
I'm just quoting
I'm
him.
aware.
I don't believe that.
I'm aware, but you can. I am not easily offended. I'm not easily triggered that way. So I'm not going to go. Oh, Tucker's talking about me. Tucker would talk about me, and I would laugh about it.
Yeah.
Like you call me Don Lemon, and I would just laugh about it. I didn't think it was personal. Anyway, a lot of stuff he says I think is reprehensible. But is he a good performer? I think he's a decent performer. But I think he's also very smart. And I also think he knows his audience.
We bonded with him over
So-
Zins. Do you ever pack bombs like Zins?
No,
Or no?
what's that?
No, like upper deck.
Judd.
Like
Oh,
Zins?
no.
No.
Okay,
so
I'm
that's-
from Louisiana.
They pack
but I
bombs
just
down
don't
there.
like chew. Is it like
yeah,
similar
kinda,
to- No,
yeah.
I'm not
Nicotine
interested
salt.
in that.
Yeah.
So what do I think about it? I think that Ben is really smart and has figured out his way, what he's doing in digital media, but I think Candace is a bigger star. And I think Candace is going to be okay, and she may end up on a bigger platform. And it's probably a good thing for her that she's no longer on that platform, because then she'll have to figure it out for herself. And I think in figuring it out for herself, she's going to become bigger. I don't agree with hardly anything she says. Every once in a while I'll go, Candace, wow, hit the nail on the head. Like sometimes she says shit that's really on point. Most of the time she says stuff and I'm like, I don't know.
What's
what
your
she's talking
biggest
about.
disagreement with her?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it. You'd have to give me specific examples. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean I would sit down and have a conversation with her. I would sit down and have a conversation with Tucker. I'm not afraid
Gotta
to
make
have a
that happen.
conversation
Why
with
don't
anyone.
these happen?
We could do
But
these-
I'm not gonna talk. I don't want to go into a space as I told who I spoke to you. Who did I speak to you?
Yeah.
That where someone is just, people are just going to attack me just to attack me, where it's personal. Like I've seen some podcasters just attack me on personal things that aren't true. I'm not going to do that. It's not worth my time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So who we voting for this year?
Who am I voting for this year?
Like who? Yeah, who we all?
Well,
we gotta,
this is something that I could not do when I worked at CNN. Who am I going to vote for? Joe Biden.
why?
Because I think he's doing because he's doing a good job for the country. I think that I love what he's done for prescription drugs for people. I love that he is improving the economy. I love that we have, even
Is
though
he
they're-
improving the economy,
Yes,
though?
he is. This economy is better than the Trump economy. And I know that's tough to hear, but it's the truth.
Isn't inflation and like gas prices through the roof?
Yeah, but the economy is so good. I mean, look at the economy that he inherited from Donald Trump. Donald Trump inherited.
Well, because that was during COVID.
Well, okay, but still, that's
No,
the
not
reality.
still.
It's reality.
Yeah, but
Donald
still,
Trump
that's-
inherited-
like you said, that was a crazy
Donald Trump
time.
inherited an
that was
economy-
a once in a lifetime
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That's your words.
Okay, Donald Trump inherited an economy that was on fire, right? And then did not do well.
Well,
for the
COVID
economy.
though, that was a thing.
COVID was a big part of it, but
Yeah.
still, that's a reality. And so
But it's hard to
but
measure.
Joe
It's like
Biden has
handicapping.
taken a COVID economy, which was terrible by your own admission.
But he can't
has-
even stand up.
But it doesn't matter. We had a
That matters.
No, it doesn't matter. Let me tell you why. Because
Other
we had-
world
we
leaders
had a
see him
president-
and they think he's weak.
We had a president who was in a wheelchair.
Well, he should get in a wheelchair. I think
There are leaders in other countries who don't have the physical.
He should just stop taking the stairs, right?
But what about?
Are you guys going to let me answer the question?
Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Get the guy on an escalator.
Yeah, I think that you are, again, I think you're being ageist, which was what I was trying to defend old people from the whole Nikki Haley comment. I think that you're being ageist. I think that Joe Biden is a fine president. He's doing great things for the country. I really do. Is he perfect? No. Is he perfect on immigration? Can he improve? Yes. Was the Afghanistan pullout, not good? Yes.
Horrible.
Messy.
Yes.
Horrible.
But every president has good and bad moments. And so I think in this moment now, I would rather a president who believes in democracy and in the Constitution rather than someone who says, when I get in office, I'm going to go after my political enemies. I would prefer, a president who did not incite an insurrection. I would prefer a president who did not have 84 charges against him and, who didn't have cases and who didn't, so that's.
But the Bidens
that's
have
just
had
me.
cases on them and people just cover them up. Like the Hunter Biden laptop.
Hunter Biden is not the president. Hunter Biden has no influence on culture at all.
He snuck blow into the White House.
He
I
is-
mean, he's got to have some
Yes.
influence.
Stuff happening in
Yeah.
China, it's-
And I'm not saying, look, Hunter Biden is an issue, right? He's obviously a troubled person.
I want to party with him. Don't get me wrong, but he is.
But he has no influence on culture. He has no influence on government. He's, it's interesting for the news media and for the right wing to, talk about. It's interesting palace intrigue, but it means nothing.
I just think we
at the
can't
end
have
of
a
the day.
president that can't speak.
Well, yeah, that's one.
We can't. Don, we can't.
But here's the thing: you can find instances of Donald Trump not being able
But
to
here,
speak.
can I?
No, he's a great speaker. He's a
Wait, but
great
can I tell you one
speaker.
thing?
I've talked to him in person.
He's a good speaker, but
I
sharp.
talked to him personally. I know, but he has his moments. I know him personally. I know Joe Biden personally. If I prefer someone who's going to put good people around him and who's smart enough to do that. The man is doing a good job. He has arthritis in his spine, so he has a little trouble walking. Okay, still a good
He's
president.
got arthritis in the brain, I think, too, or something.
Well, here's the other thing.
I don't agree with
So with
that.
the power of social media, right? The only things you ever see on Joe Biden, him falling off the bike, falling up the stairs, and losing his thoughts. So to the
Like,
the
are you on
average
that side
person,
of Twitter?
But
You see that too?
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying is social media is so powerful.
You
That's all
guys
you
need
see.
to go history. Go back in history and look at Gerald Ford. SNL would do comedy sketches on Gerald Ford falling over and tripping because he tripped a lot. He fell down. This is not the first time that this has happened.
No, but what
Doesn't
I'm saying,
make it right.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. Would you rather someone who falls down or someone who is going to blow up the country?
How's Trump going to blow up the country? How's he going to blow up? No,
I don't
I'm
mean
asking-
literally blow
Yeah,
up the country,
okay.
but you know what I mean. Someone who tries to overturn elections. Come on, guys.
It's tough. There's so
I
much
think
I could say
the
about
the Democrats denied when Trump won, too. though.
I'm not a Democrat. So
I'm saying you are, but I'm saying they did that. They did the same thing.
did
When,
what?
when Trump beat Clinton, they tried to say it was rigged. Hillary Clinton still says it.
When Trump beat Clinton, Hillary Clinton conceded and
She
stepped off the
she
stage.
still says to this day that there was something like with it.
But she didn't try to overturn the election. She didn't say the election was stolen.
Yeah,
Go
I don't know.
and,
I don't know about the rig situation, but I personally think Trump, as a leader and what's going on in the world right now, I feel like he's better to handle world leaders than Biden. And no
That's-
other world leader respects Biden. Like I think Biden's going to bring us into war.
That's complete. You're wrong on that.
Why?
I think every world leader respects Biden. Biden is a diplomat. Biden has been around and he knows diplomacy and foreign policy like nobody's business. The only person who's probably better on foreign policy than him or equal is Hillary Clinton.
But they're just such warmongers.
You don't think Republicans are warmongers?
Republicans historically have been, but not Trump.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like old Republicans, like Bush era and all that. Yeah,
Bolton and
yeah. I'm saying Trump. I'm not saying
Cheney
Republicans.
yeah.
I mean, Trump was a peaceful president, was he not? Like he didn't start any wars. I'm being serious. Yeah, I'm being serious.
Well, yeah, but what wars had we started?
I mean, we're funding Ukraine.
Okay. We're
We
trying
didn't
to
start
help.
any wars, though.
We're trying to help
I
a
mean,
country.
we pretty much like we're behind that war. We're just not on the
That's
ground.
true.
We're trying to help a
Yeah,
country
that's
that
true
was
too.
attacked. I mean,
But that is starting a war.
so can you imagine what would happen in the region if Ukraine's allies would allow them just to be taken down? Do you understand the instability that would cause the world? It's the reason it's the reason we have the foreign policy that we do with Israel, is because imagine Israel not being there. Do you know that with the instability it would cause in that region? It's not just about funding a war. Now, I have questions about where my money is going, but I understand why that money is going there. There's a reason.
Do you think historically we've always been on the right side of these things?
Historically, what?
Do you think historically we've always been on the right side of these
We've
wars?
always been on the right side?
The
Meaning
United
America?
States? Yeah.
No. Look at Vietnam. No.
Yeah.
Look at Iraq. No. No weapons of mass destruction.
You don't think these are the similar kind of things that we're getting ourselves involved in? So it's just like the industrial arms and money and all the stuff that comes
We're
along
not
with
sending
it.
troops to Ukraine or
Oh,
Israel.
they're buying weapons. We're selling weapons. It's a massive thing. I mean, it's a money thing. That's why when I talk about all these things, even the COVID, it just seems like it's about money. And it's like, are we doing the right thing?
We live
being
in a
involved?
capitalist society.
For sure. Yeah, but like at the expense of just life, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you allowed Ukraine and Israel to go away, you would have a much different feeling. You would be saying, I can't believe that Joe Biden didn't save Ukraine and Israel, because now look at what we're in. There's a whole World War III going on in the Middle East, and then Russia is taking over the rest of the world, and you'd have a whole different feeling about it.
I guess it just feels weird sometimes when it's like we're constantly doing things outside of our country when our country seems to be needing help in a lot of ways as well. And I know a lot of people feel that way, where it's like, why are we constantly getting involved in other things?
We're getting involved in other things because and I agree with you. Like we need to take care of a lot of things at home. I agree with you with that. But we are the richest country in the world, and we are the biggest democracy. So people hold us to a higher standard, and we hold ourselves to a higher standard. Should we be doing more for people at home? Sure, probably. But can we afford to help other people? Yeah. And should we help other people in other countries, especially democracies? Yes.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like Biden can physically compete with other world leaders.
What do you
Like
want
if they had
What do
the
you want
box,
to do?
I want him to be able to
get in a
speak
ring?
properly.
Yeah, if they had to box.
He can't
like,
speak. The falling we could deal with.
Okay,
You can't- you
the
can-
guy-
he can't-
the
wheelchair.
guy
He can't even
has-
read off a teleprompter.
He's feeble for sure.
Okay.
Right?
Fine.
He
Okay,
reads
fine.
like the periods on the teleprompter and stuff.
I want you to go and look. I want you to watch a Trump teleprompter. Like,
I've
these
watched a
things
lot
are-
of Trump
okay,
speeches.
He's not good.
He's amazing.
He doesn't read well.
You went to one in
He's-
person, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a good. He's funny, and he stands in front of a crowd when he's on, and he does his thing.
Biden sniffs
but he
girls,
can't read
too.
a teleprompter. He's not good at reading teleprompter.
You've seen
Trump
the
is
Biden,
good
I know
as-
you've seen
at-
the Biden sniffing girls.
Trump is good at stream of consciousness. You know, look, I'm doing this for you because if they do this to me, they can do it to you, and I'm the only thing between you and saving the world. And he's good at that. He's just talking about it. And the reason he's good at it is because he doesn't have to rely on facts. And he is not the president anymore, right? So people aren't looking to him he could say, Joe Biden could say something that potentially could start a war. So you have to be careful with your words. And sometimes in order to do that, maybe you speak a little slowly. He also has.
So you think he speaks good, Biden?
No, I did say.
Little slowly.
No, Biden has, he's always spoken with the, God, what am I think? Not,
He doesn't.
I can't remember.
You pulled the Biden there.
Yeah, you just
almost,
did.
Yeah, I did pull a Biden. I haven't had much.
You're good. You're
much
good.
sleep.
Yeah. Go
but-
ahead.
No, you're,
But
you're an amazing speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Biden has always had trouble speaking. Biden has always said things, he has a stutter. That's the word I'm looking for.
It's not a stutter, though.
He does, he's
It's
a
brain
stutter
fart.
growing up.
Every time.
He taught himself to speak without stuttering. That is an issue. That is a fact. He has a stutter. He's always had an issue
not a stutter,
speaking.
It looks like he loses his thought a lot. But
Yeah, I just
You can,
lost my
like,
train
see
of
his
Do you
brain.
ever lose your train of thought?
Yeah.
I lost my
You're
train of
allowed to do
thought
it once in a while,
that-
though, but his brain just shuts down. You could see it shutting down.
I think you watch too many YouTube. And
No, I just see it all the time.
Videos.
Well, that's what I was saying. Is you
I
only
mean, there's
see
so
those
many
clips
instances.
on
Everyone's
social
allowed
media.
to get away with it once in a while, but
Yeah, but I think you watch a lot of far right wing.
I don't. I actually don't. I don't watch criticism.
And you're
I
on
just see
social
that
media and you're looking at clips of him and people who are highlighting it. It's the same thing that people.
it happens so much.
It's the same thing that people. Did you ever watch me on CNN?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You did.
sure.
Okay. But most people who were critical of me have never watched me. They've only watched Tucker talking about me or Hannity and clips that were taken out of context or snippets or things that are on social media. They had no idea what I actually said or did on the network. So I feel like you're doing that a little bit with Biden. You are welcome to your opinion about him, but I don't think that he is in cognitive decline and that he's, gonna, just keel over at any moment. I just don't believe that. I mean, anybody can die at any moment. Anybody can have a heart attack, but so can Trump. So can, RFK. So,
True.
Would you be pretty upset if Trump won?
No. I would not be upset. I would be concerned. I would hope that because he pushed the levers of democracy, he pushed the limits of our democracy. And, I think the first time was a little bit scary. We survived it. I think we would survive I believe that we would survive another Trump presidency. But I would be a bit nervous about what he would do in office, considering what he's actually saying. If you look at what Project 2025, have you studied Project 2025, where what he says he wants to get rid of the Department of Justice, and the FBI, and all kinds of things they want to make. They want to make illegal, all kinds of crazy things. He wants to be able to use the National Guard to, solve things between American citizens. It's a little nutty.
Making porn illegal would be wild.
I don't know.
They might need to do that. That might be the only
We got to
solution.
talk Trump. Yeah, we might have to have a chat.
Yeah. Why take that away from us?
I mean,
It's
I don't.
No, it's messed my head
It's the
up.
folks who are behind him. I'm not sure how much he has to do with it, but
You think
Be an
Don
addict.
knows how to sway
He's
the right-wing
former
voters.
addict.
I'm reformed? Do you think porn
Former
is,
addict.
you don't watch
do you,
anymore.
yeah,
Cold
no,
turkey.
at all. Do you think it's a net positive for society? Like it should not be?
I have no opinion on.
Well, you just said that he was going to get rid of it, and it's like it was as if it was a bad thing.
I'm just saying that's one of the things.
He
in the
knows what our
proposal.
audience is going to be pissed at, right? He knows how to sway the right-wing voters.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that's like
I mean, look, who was on the stand yesterday? A star.
Yeah. You talking about the trial stuff with Trump?
Yeah, Stormy Daniels. So it's part of the culture, but I have no opinion on.
Have you and Trump ever went super head-to-head?
Yeah, I interviewed him a number of times, but usually,
What was the craziest time
he
you
would
guys
say
went head-to-head?
it wasn't. If you go back and look at our interviews, they were tough. I think he took much tougher questions than Elon, and he still came back for interviews. But once he became, the nominee, and he actually, we had to really question him on facts and things that he said he wouldn't come back on the network.
What's the craziest thing he ever said to you?
He said on my show.
On my show.
About Megyn Kelly, that she had blood coming out of her wherever.
Oh,
And then
that's a legendary one.
Yeah, that was on my show. And then he said about people coming across the border, people, and I said, and I whatever it was, I refuted, and I gave him the thing, and he goes, "Who's doing the Don? Somebody's doing the." And so we were like, "Oh." What else did he say to me? He said, "I'm the least racist person you ever want to meet." When I asked him point blank, was he racist? What else? There's a lot of stuff. The thing is that you can ask Donald Trump anything.
Yeah, he's more of an open book, right?
It's all in how you ask him. Yeah, all you have to do is compliment him and then ask him the question, and then he would answer.
I can't remember the percent, but hasn't he gained a huge amount of support from the black population recently?
No, I mean, I think he is gained. I think his support, I think it's among black men. I think his support has gone up, but not among black women.
Okay.
So in general, in speaking in generalities. But who knows how much, just because someone says they like him doesn't mean that they're actually going to vote for him.
Sure.
Those are two different things.
What's your take on the border situation and his take on it?
It depends on what aspect you're asking.
Like, is it important to have the border?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that we're in a place now where we really need immigration reform, and our system can't handle the number of people who are coming across the border. So we've got to figure that out. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think the answer is like a physical wall. I think it's it has to do with legislation, and maybe it's more manpower. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard crazy stuff from Dr. Phil. Remember about just people coming in and.
Wait, what was he saying? I can't remember.
Or Dr. Phil was talking about how like he spoke to a border agent who they're told they just can't do certain things, even though they should be. Like, and like the kids are just coming through and like being used as traffic. Remember that at the end of the Dr. Phil pod? I think
he said something like they write a number
on the kids, yeah, and like they knowingly they're sending them to places where like they know they're going to be trafficked, and it's like they're not allowed to technically stop it. I don't know how much you know about that situation, or
no, I don't really know about that. Trafficking is not my thing. Obviously, people should not be trafficked. For me, my heart goes out to the kids because there are people who bring their kids across the border and go back because they want them to have a better life, and I feel for anyone who it's like it's so up over here. Go to America, the land of milk and honey, and have a good life. Like my heart goes out to the kids for that.
Yeah. You haven't seen this guy on the internet recently?
No.
he caught a predator live on stream.
Oh wait.
Oh whoa! What the?
I heard something about that.
Yeah.
What happened?
You tell him.
Yeah, well, I was there. Obviously,
my boy is viral right now. What's up, Brad?
Bro. So Vitaly is a streamer who like sets up these sort of like. It's not Chris Hansen type video, but it's where like they're sort of, I guess, baiting people who are sex offenders who are, I guess they're not registered yet, but they're people who have been like contacting and interacting with like underage kids or thinking that they are. And we just were randomly in LA somewhere downtown. And it just so happened to be some guy who was, I guess.
A screenwriter. He worked on like multiple big movies.
Something
so he's
like
a big
that.
Hollywood guy.
And I didn't know anything of it except for like you see the text interaction with the person that they believe to be like of a certain age, 15 in this case, is girl, and then you just kind of pull up and you're like, "What are you doing?" Essentially, and you're trying to like call the police, but the police kind of like, "Oh, can't do much."
I remember
about it.
seeing something online like similar to that, but it was a thing that said this guy caught this man Chris Hansen style or something, but it was on social media, like something that I was flipping through. Yeah, that was you?
Yeah. Apparently everyone's talking. I didn't know that was so viral.
Isn't it kind of a wild concept? Like they're live streaming it. This is what creators are doing now. It's a good thing, but it's a new era.
There
right?
are some good things.
The world's
welcome to the digital world, right?
It's crazy.
You're on this side now. If you want to jump in the next stream, we could probably set that up.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what are you streaming?
Catching the Predators.
Wait, do you guys have a Catching the Predator stream?
Well, that's what
That's
Vitaly.
what he did.
I did Vitaly.
He was the special guest.
It
I was a
one of our
guest on
friends.
one of our friends who does this. He was like, "You want to come do it?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll come do it. I'll show up." And that's what happened. It was just random. It wasn't like we specifically found the person, and the person just so happened to be someone who was, I guess.
Yeah, hook me up. I'll do it.
Right.
That'd be cool.
Italian
That would
Donovan.
be insane.
Damn. I'll go with you.
Vital, you owe me for that one, straight up. That'd be crazy.
You guys wouldn't be afraid to be with me? There are a lot of
do it
people.
with you.
You're talking about the hate online. There are a lot of people in these spaces who don't like me.
I think people would really appreciate and respect it if you did it.
Why do you think people don't like you?
Because they don't know me. And
Yeah.
they have an idea about me that is based on what my critics say about me. And they saw the Elon interview and
Yeah,
because
the
of
Elon one was just
because of
God.
the way he reacted, they
Yeah.
think like I'm some, ogre or mean person. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not even, like I said, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican either. So
What are your actual thoughts on Elon as like a person?
as I said, I think he's very consequential to the world. I think he's
Super
done some
important.
really good things for the world, but I don't think that he is beyond account. He should be held accountable for certain things.
What do you think he's doing wrong
Everyone
with
has to
X?
answer to someone or to something.
What do you think he's doing wrong with X?
Or just in general speaking.
So I thought
X.
that I got off of Twitter because I thought it had become toxic. I think that Twitter
Pre-Elon
now,
or post-Elon?
Pre-Elon.
That's when you got off?
I got off before him.
Right.
And then I had someone do it for me because I just couldn't anymore. It become so toxic. And then once he did it, it just has become like a cesspool for far-right conspiracy theories and racism and misogyny, and it's just I can't. But I thought that he truly wanted me to do what he said on the platform, but it turned out not to be so. So it is what it is. Apparently, he's happy with the platform being a far right place. That's
So
where
what do you
people
think he should
that.
do better with it?
I think he should moderate the platform. Every platform that moderates does better. And I don't know how long he has a lot of money, so I'm sure he could probably fund it for a while.
Because I think he said it not to make money, right? He wants to make it.
Yeah, but also
free
he
speech
owes.
spot.
Look, and I don't know the particulars of the financials, so don't take this with a grain of salt. But at a certain point, creditors are going to come calling about their investment into Twitter or X, and so something's going to have to happen with that platform. And I think that it would be better, and he'd have more people and more advertisers, because I think it would be a real shame for the platform just to go away, right? Or just to become, which is what it's becoming, which is sort of a niche platform for the right. I think it would be better if he moderated the platform, and that doesn't mean violating people's right to free speech, which honestly it doesn't apply to Twitter because it's not a government institution.
But do you think that it seems like it's become this sort of like right wing thing because every other platform is so highly moderated?
Yeah.
Like that's why we're having this conversation about it, is like, if we just moderate it like all the other ones have been moderated, then it just like before we told you about the COVID era thing, we couldn't talk about anything if it wasn't in line with what everyone
We all know
thought.
what happened to Threads.
But I think that those other platforms are doing well. I mean,
Yeah, but financially doing well, and the difference of like financially doing well and
Meta's
freedom of
doing
speech.
well because Meta is moderating conspiracy theorists and people who are there just to offend people, and people who have, as I call, internet brain or social media brain, where they think everything is a fight and everyone has to own someone. I'm going to own the libs. I'm going to own this conservative. I'm going to talk shit about trans people. That's not like, it doesn't have to be that. That's internet brain.
For sure.
And so
Twitter always has.
But
kind of
I
been
think
like
it's-
that.
Twitter's always had that. So
Yeah.
again, I
It's
told
always
you it
been
was
like a
toxic
beef,
before, but at least they had advertisers. At least that it was financially they were doing okay, not great, but other platforms are actually thriving financially for a reason, because they have moderation.
But I think Twitter's kind of slowly becoming that platform that like even us, we're creators, and like X slowly day by day is becoming actually more enticing for us and our audience
Yeah.
because they don't moderate stuff. And it's kind of like when we're talking about COVID, it's like who decides what you can and can't say,
but
right?
I think
Shouldn't
I'm
we
not
just
talking about extremes, right? But I think if someone puts something, offensive, like depicting, Jews as like big nose and what, it's like, why does that need to be there? Why does that? It's like freedom of speech. That is a poor excuse for.
It's just like, where do you draw the
allowing-
line then, right? I think what
I
he
think you
said
draw
was
the line
at laws, what's legal.
I think that's a cop out. I think you draw the line because you can.
But where do you draw
You
it?
can entice people to become shooters, mass shooters by being indoctrinated through social media. They admit that in their own manifestos. So I think that you can put together a group of people, or there could be a group of people at X who sit down and actually decide that. And I think that you can do that within reason. Either you're going to have the wild, wild west where you're not going to have any, no restrictions, or you're going to moderate it. And if you're going to have moderation, then you have to abide by your own content rules.
I think they moderate based on law though.
No, you should go and read the content rules on Twitter. And if you don't know where to find them, go on to a post that you don't necessarily like and try to report it. And then it'll give you all the reasons for what should not be on Twitter. And that's making fun of a protected group, blah, 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 hate speech. It'll tell you all of that. And that's their own rules. So if you're not going to abide by those rules, why do you have them? Don't pretend to have them when you're not going to abide by them. Just say, this is the wild, wild west, and we are going to put everything up there except for stuff that's illegal.
So you wouldn't have a problem if they did that? Or you still wouldn't like it?
It would be transparent. I wouldn't like it, but at least it would be transparent. It wouldn't be hypocritical.
I like how they're making it. You can kind of say whatever you want. I mean, I'm not reading hate speech shit and stuff like that, but from our point of view too, it's like you can kind of put out there and you can say some stuff that you can't say on other platforms.
I like
And that's
like
why I
it.
think it's
I like it
doing
as
really
well,
well.
being able to say whatever you want, but I don't want to. Oh, I got to go, guys.
Okay.
I have a 5 o'clock show. I'm sorry. It's
Oh,
cool.
You're good, yeah.
Thanks
No,
for
we
sitting.
appreciate
I'm
you
sorry.
coming through.
Lot
Much
of
respect
respect.
for coming through. Did we do
Yeah.
okay, or were we?
You guys are challenging, but I
it was
liked
good.
it.
Yeah, cool.
I
think
have
it was
no, I'm not afraid of tough conversations.
Yep.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
appreciate
Thank
you,
you
man.
so
Call me
That's
any names
awesome.
or anything.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, brother.